Hello everyone, welcome back to The Media Couple. I'm Rory.
And I'm Sophie.
Where we break down the latest in film, TV and entertainment from an insider's perspective.
Yes, we do. And we have a great episode for you guys today. We are going to be talking K-pop Demon Hunters, Wicked Part 2 and Part 1. And then we've got a Rotten Tomatoes game at the very end. So make sure you stick around for that. It is musical themed, funnily enough, for this episode. So Rory, I think you're going to kick us off today with K-pop Demon Hunters, aren't you?
Absolutely. And thankfully, I'm not going to start singing, okay? Until Sophie asks me to.
No one needs to hear that.
That's the bonus content, okay? You stick around, you hear that.
No, I don't even think the bonus content would. No, we can't. No one can hear that.
Sorry, don't run away, please. we want you to stay. But yeah, as Sophie said, we're doing a musical themed podcast today. So K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it is very, very fun.
It's definitely a little bit different.
Definitely. Not what I was expecting at all.
Not what we would normally watch either.
No way. But we had to watch it because it became Netflix's most watched film of all time with a staggering 236 million views. I mean, what?
I mean, I think this probably took everybody by surprise. The producers, Netflix, Sony, who made it. I don't think anybody really anticipated K-pop Demon Hunters to be quite so stratospheric in the way that it is. But I feel like I kind of understand why.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it's really interesting. I do find it funny because I can just imagine it just growing and growing and growing and everybody being like, what's going on?
Why is this happening? Yeah.
But good on them. But yeah, I mean, of course, it would make sense, wouldn't it? You've got K-pop, which is, it's got a hugely dedicated fan base.
Definitely over the last 5 years as well, like in the Western world, it's become so massive, hasn't it?
Exactly.
With those bands like BTS and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a phenomenon, isn't it?
Blackpink, BTS, all of that. And then you add in like the anime style, and then you basically make it like this sort of Frozen sisterhood kind of situation.
Well, that's what I mean. I was actually going to bring up the parallel to Frozen is insane, I think, you know, because equally a global phenomenon that saw massive success at the time. And I'm just wondering, is there something like in that, like, you've touched on already, like, well, we've got K-pop, we've got anime, the collaboration. So we've already got built-in fan bases there on a global scale. Yeah. But then is there something in like the stories that they're, the stories around them with strong female leads that has something in that?
I mean, yes, of course. I think strong female leads, of course, are always going to bring in, I mean, not that Hollywood necessarily always agrees, but
not always
agrees. But, I think strong female leads definitely have, they work. But I think what works about this one more specifically is in the era of constant perpetual remakes and so much content that is aimed at kids, that is basically works for adults because adults want nostalgia-based content, but kids want new content.
Of course.
So, with the Pixar, Disney, Illumination, all remaking. I mean, I think we're on Despicable Me 5.
5 now, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they are making this kind of content and the same IP, we're using the same IP again and again and again. And I understand to a certain extent why, but kids crave content that is new, that is original. And I think that's what K-pop Demon Hunters has done. Yeah. It's taken really cleverly, K-pop, which is popular.
Yeah, it's got an enormous fan base already.
Anime, which is obviously a style that loads of people love.
Absolutely.
And then you bring it into almost like this Hannah Montana kind of vibe.
Yeah. It feels very much like a modern Hannah Montana or Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and aim it at sort of young adults, children, sort of. It makes sense. I understand why it's done so well.
Yeah.
But I also understand why you wouldn't think it would do that well either. Yeah. Or at least not quite
as well as it has done. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, I think the success it's found as well is because, I mean, even some of the tracks from the film have gone global.
Really
like
good.
It's astounding because it's like, you look at musicals and, songs from films that become famous, they don't always quite have the successes these tracks have.
No, and I think that's really interesting as well because I think it was something like at one point 9 of the songs from this series
were in the
Billboard Top 100.
Yeah.
9. Mm-hmm. That is it's really saying something. But it's funny because when we were talking about it with some of our friends, they were like, you just have to watch it for the first song, listen to the first song. And they were right. The first song is you're sitting there and you're like, okay, this is kind of like everything else that I've seen, you know, in sort of the anime world.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this song comes in and you're like,
and it's a tune,
and it's good. It's a good song, but I think you combine both of those things, genius, K-pop and anime. Well, yeah, of course.
It's kind of a win-win. I almost feel like I've seen written that like critics have said this film almost feels like it was made for globalization.
Yeah, it was.
Which is something that I think sometimes, like, you know, those Disney classics and prequels and sequels and stuff, they're trying to make it for globalization, but it's actually like a nostalgia overload where we're getting a bit sick of it sometimes. Yeah. The same story, but making something one-off that is so globally marketable. It's like what you said, take anime, take K-pop, put it on one of the biggest streaming platform in the world. You're gonna, you know, hopefully you're gonna have a lot of success, which it did have.
I do think it is interesting though how it's obviously used K-pop and, you know, anime, and Korea didn't put a penny into that film.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was
a Western produced, Netflix and Sony produced film.
So financially, the Korean film market didn't actually put any money behind it.
No.
Wow. Okay.
So it's interesting how essentially Hollywood are now going, okay, let's put some money into making content that essentially culturally appropriates the Korean film industry.
Yeah.
I just think it's very interesting how there was no money from the Korean film industry put into.
Considering the amount of success the Korean film industry has had lately.
And how this borrows so much from the Korean film industry.
Of course, yeah.
And how it's now making, you know, it's made the most money for Netflix.
Yeah, and been their most watched film ever.
And it's basically using all of the Korean film industry's, you know,
style. Artistry. Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting.
There's definitely some stuff to unpack there.
Yeah.
But maybe not on this podcast.
No, maybe in a further podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I did also want to touch on, like, you know how you brought up earlier about Hannah Montana, that sort of vibe. It reminds me a bit of Buffy.
Yeah.
Do you remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd really get that vibe from it. Like, sort of like, you know, this cool girl who's like, you know, high schooler by day, killing vampires by night. It's got like an edginess to it, which I think nowadays, like, younger audiences want something a bit edgier.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I think there's always been that appetite. You know, I think about Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Right, which was my era.
Yeah.
You know, and Kim Possible, and but that was all very westernized. That was Western animation, Western, you know, she was an American going to an American school. So I think what's clever about K-pop Demon Hunters was that it's not set, it's not American.
Yeah.
And I think that is also lends to why it's been so popular, is that I think we kind of had a lot of American style content, you know, that's come out of Hollywood. Naturally, it makes sense, but audiences also want something that differentiates it. You know, what makes this different? This one wasn't American, and so it lends itself to being more of a globalized, you know, product. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I can understand, you know, A plus B equals C. I do kind of, you know, I get how we got there. And I think, oh God, we're just going to end up with like spin-off and sequel. And
that leads me on to a question. I have a few questions for you around it. The first one, I kind of feel like you may have touched on already, but why do you think Sony underestimated K-pop Demon Hunters?
Well, I mean, I can understand how they didn't necessarily. I don't think anybody's really done this before.
Well, I'm just saying, because, you know, Sony, like, they make the Spider-Verse films, you know, Into the Spider-Verse, which won an Oscar for them. You know, historically, they are quite good. They are quite good at animation, you know. So I'm just curious at why they thought this isn't going to work for us.
Well, I think, to be quite frank, it's because it wasn't an American comic.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's a Korean K-pop. Is Korean.
Yeah, at the forefront of it,
it's anime, right?
Yeah, of course. Which is hit and miss sometimes.
Which has a great base, but doesn't always...
not to everyone's taste.
Exactly, and doesn't always pop out and, you know, be the front runner that K-pop Demon Hunters has become.
True, yeah.
I don't think they necessarily... You know, they obviously put money behind it, they bought it and so on. I don't think it necessarily was that they didn't think it would make any money. I don't think they anticipated that it would do quite as well.
I just keep thinking of some exec being like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like, just being like, because I agree with you. Yeah. I honestly think I'm looking for an answer somewhere, and I genuinely think they thought, it's not going to do that well.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It's just like an animated film we have on our roster.
Exactly. And I think this show, this series, is going to really shift how a lot of executives are now looking at K-pop and anime.
Yeah.
And we are now going to end up with an abundance of K-pop and anime content that's going to come out.
You walk into the pitch meeting, we've got K-pop. They're like, right, sign.
Exactly.
Here's the money.
Exactly.
Done.
So, we've got that to look forward to for the next 10 years.
Can't wait for that.
And we'll
come back to the
K-pop
podcast in 10
K-pop Demon Hunters 12 will be out and we'll be going, what's the new latest thing? And it will be anything but.
They hunted demons again.
Yeah, I know. They'll do it to death because obviously it's worked, which I get. You would, of course. But yeah, that's all we've got to look forward to.
You know that's coming. Okay, and my last question. Do you think, well, I guess you kind of just answered it then. Do you think there'll be any sequels?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because we can't just, don't you find that we talked about this on the podcast before, but why can't we just make one film?
Because it's a business.
And be proud. I know, but why can't, like, in the 90s and thousands, I felt like you could make one-off films, especially kids' films. You could make one good film and be like, that was great.
Toy Story.
No, I agree. Yeah, but I mean, that's one that's been done a lot. But,
But Demon Hunters...
Think about The Land Before Time.
Right, I don't even... Yeah.
Oh, there might have been a sequel to that one.
No, but right, The Land Before Time was not the highest grossing film.
That's true.
When it came out.
I guess I'm saying...
Right, this is the highest watched, I think you said, or whatever.
The most watched film in Netflix history.
This is the most watched series in Netflix history. Of course they're going to make this into like sequels.
Yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day. Now, creatively, is it going to be as successful? I think by the time they get to version 10, probably not. 12, probably not. I think there's only so far you can go, but I imagine they will have a fair amount of success. It's, similar Avengers,
Yeah, true. Yeah. Eventually people get like tired of it, and it goes back into that
There's so much money to be made now.
Yeah, there's a lot to extract from it still.
Of course we're going to see.
Of course.
So everybody's got that to look forward to on their Netflix.
Absolutely. Keep an eye out for K-pop Demon Hunters 12.
That's what our kids will be watching.
Absolutely. It's not over for us. This is just the start.
This is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Exactly. Anyways, that is K-pop Demon Hunters. We also have Wicked that we're going to be talking about because I think they are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, interesting comparisons between the two though, and interesting opposites between them.
So Wicked, for those of you who don't know, I don't know how you've managed to avoid it. Yeah. It's been everywhere. Not complaining about that, by the way.
No.
But we're kind of in between part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is coming out this November. Part 1 came out last November. Yeah. It is the official Hollywood film version of the Broadway musical Wicked, which has been on Broadway for years.
Yeah.
Now, interesting. The producer of Wicked, Mark Platt, actually wanted to make Wicked into a film before it even hit Broadway.
No way.
Yeah. So
interesting.
back in the 1990s, essentially he always wanted to, because it was an adaptation from a book.
Right. Okay.
And he always saw it as a film. So he's always had this intention, but they decided to go with the stage first strategy. And essentially what that's created, which I think is genius, is a built-in fan base.
Yeah, absolutely.
For this film.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of needed a built-in fan base for a musical. I think you kind of need a built-in fan base for a musical. And I think that's why, for example, K-pop Demon Hunters has worked, because you've got the built-in fan base of K-pop, built-in fan base of anime. That's why those two work.
Yeah.
This one with Wicked, if you've got the built-in fan base,
you've got the audience who's going to come
of
and
the
watch
theatre
it.
goers.
Absolutely.
You've got an audience that you can capitalize, that you can market.
You've got a following.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what you want to do. So I just thought that was really interesting how he's, this project has been so long in the making.
I kind of feel like it gives it more credibility in the film as well.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's just when they adapt like musicals into feature films, I'm like, it just gives it something more credible. There's something more credible about it. I don't know why.
Well, you know that it works
and it's
already.
Written, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It works and people know the story. People understand it. You know, everybody knows that Wicked, spoilers, is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. I mean, if that spoiled it for you.
I mean, I hope that you're all very aware of that.
Yeah. But, so it's capitalizing on this. It's kind of got, and I think that's what's so brilliant about Wicked and the story in and of itself, and Mark Platt, genius, for, seeing this. You've got The Wizard of Oz, which is a huge film, right?
Massive,
when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then Wicked, which was a book, and there's the prequel. So you're essentially franchising off of, the Wizard of Oz. That's you're making a spin-off of the Wizard of Oz. But then to go, so you've already got that built-in fan base, and then to go to stage, you're just building another fan base. So when you put it together, in this final franchise, you're pulling in from everybody who ever heard The Wizard of Oz, watched The Wizard of Oz as a child.
Absolutely, yeah.
Plus
Read a book,
theatregoers.
went to the theatre, watched a film.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you bring in Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah.
And you have made movie magic.
Yeah.
Of course, because then you're bringing in all the pop culture girlies.
Exactly. We're talking about marketability and globalization.
I mean,
we've got that.
It's literally no wonder Wicked has just gone stratospheric.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I do want to talk about how it compares to some other musicals, because I think that's quite interesting. So at the moment, Wicked is the highest grossing film adaptation of a Broadway musical. So think it's bigger than Les Mis.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Chicago.
Yeah, wow.
It's bigger than Mamma Mia, right? However, Wicked at the box office, and it's only part one that's come out so far, so that it could still change. At the box office globally, made $756 million at this point, point of recording, or approximately that. The highest grossing musical ever, when adjusted for inflation, was The Sound of Music.
Oh, interesting.
Which made $2.5 billion at worldwide box office, adjusted for inflation, of course.
Yeah.
So it's not quite up there in terms of as the biggest musical ever. And it's also not quite up there in terms of the height of the genre. Like The Sound of Music, 1965.
I was going to say, I mean, like the Singing in the Rain, Sound of Music, this was the musical era of Hollywood.
Precisely. So, but what I do think Wicked is doing is giving a little bit of resurgence to the musical genre. It's just doing it slightly differently. And it's just, I kind of feel like this might be the new way forward for musicals.
Okay.
Build a fan base first by putting it on stage.
Yeah.
And then bring it into the cinematic world.
Yeah, of course.
Although West Side Story did try that, and Cats did try that.
Cats, I mean, it flopped. I mean, one musical that did do very well, which was off the basis of the film, but then it adopted a cult following over such a long time, was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
If you look at that historically, and now it's like it's celebrated, it's got massive fans. It came out in the 70s, and for its time, it was... It was incredible, the lengths they went to, the style of it. But that's something that took, 25, 30 years, 40 years later, it's got this huge cult following. So sometimes it can work.
True. I mean, The Greatest Showman, for example.
Yeah,
The Greatest Showman,
obviously that was just a film,
just
wasn't
original.
it? And then they've,
Same with La La Land.
Yes, true.
La La Land didn't go on.
True.
So there is a world, but I don't feel like La La Land and, well, maybe The Greatest Showman, but The Greatest Showman was like a bit of a slow burn. And when it first came out, it didn't do too great.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest.
It was not the greatest show.
But Wicked, I feel, has just come in. But I really think genuinely that is also down to the casting.
I agree. Yeah, you're taking in those fan bases. I mean, especially bringing someone like Ariana Grande in. I mean, and Cynthia Erivo is just magnificent.
Exactly, and this is also Ariana Grande's. Like, I think she was such a left field pick for.
There was a little bit of concern, wasn't there? Yeah,
but I think that also helped because it piqued everybody's interest, and everybody was a bit curious as to whether or not she would be able to pull this role off, because Ariana Grande as a pop artist is not Glinda the good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So everybody
she's
was a bit
edgier, isn't she?
Yeah. So everybody was a bit like, oh, how is this going to go? But yeah, I mean, I think I'm really excited to see part 2.
So am I, yeah.
I do wonder whether they're going to be able to live up to part 1, because they did pretty well with part 1.
I just think, I agree. I mean, it's really, really hard, isn't it, to get that same amount of success again? I mean, but I'm glad that obviously it's just going to be, they're not trying to stretch it out and make it something. It's Wicked for Good is the next one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And that's it. So it's following the play. It's sticking to the rules. It's not trying to adapt any further. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, do you think Wicked is sort of trying to be a little bit of the Avengers of musicals in a way? Because it has obviously split it up into 2, right? Like you look at Dune, for example, it's been split up into 2.
Yeah, it's true.
Harry Potter was split up into 2.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether it's a little bit of they're trying to maybe see if they can split these up and make more money out of them, or if it's actually more creativity.
I think, I definitely think it's the first one.
Oh, you don't think it's creatively?
I don't think it's creatively. Now, I mean, to be fair, I think like had they made the film, maybe the film would have been like 4 or 5 hours long, or something like that.
Would you have sat through that?
But it could have been a way like, how they do Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the theatre play, where it's like you watch half of it, then you go away, and then there's a part 2, that sort of vibe. I mean, I understand the reason of spreading it out, but I think historically, what has Hollywood taught us? That they always do sequels.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like what you said.
Once you get one hit, you've got a billion of exactly the same ones coming down the pipeline.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I think definitely I can't see that changing, and I couldn't see that changing with Wicked.
No,
because in terms, I agree with you. In terms of musicals, it was globally such a massive success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think it's kind of going to save the genre? Because I feel like the genre was kind of dying out. I mean, we had La La Land, which is 2014.
Yeah.
The Greatest Showman, which was 2017. I can't really think of another big musical.
No.
Barbie did have some songs in
musical
it,
but it wasn't a musical.
I wouldn't class it as a musical.
No, I can't actually think of one as successful, because it also did really well at the Academy Awards, Wicked. It was nominated for 10, I think, which is very impressive for a musical. I can't think of one apart from Les Mis. Like, Les Mis, it was people won the Oscars for that. Obviously, it was nominated for many. I think Tom Hooper may have won Best Director for it, potentially.
Well, Anne Hathaway.
That was a musical at its peak,
Yeah, no, that's
peak
true.
of its success.
Well, some people will be hoping for its downfall because they just hate musicals with a passion.
What people do.
I know.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I like, it depends on the musical, but I generally, they make me feel good.
I know. If you hate musicals, well, why are you watching this show? But if you hate musicals, please tell us why.
Yeah, just as an insider, Wicked is Sophie's favourite. So yeah.
I did cry.
So be careful. She cried a lot in the cinema.
Yeah. It was
when defying gravity. I mean,
it was just so emotional.
It's just the raw emotion, which we're all here for.
Indeed.
That's why the execs keep putting out the content.
To get me to cry. Anyways, well, we're looking forward to that. But moving on, we have the Rotten Tomatoes game. So for those of you who do not know what the Rotten Tomatoes game, that is basically where I tell Rory a title of a film. It's usually in the theme of the week. He then tells me what he thinks the critics score and the audience score is. I then tell him if he's right or wrong. We discuss the film and we move on. That is pretty much it. He never gets them right. So this is where we're going.
I've gotten a few right.
No. We say this every week.
Not for the last couple of weeks.
We say this every week.
Yeah.
Anyways, the first one that we've got today, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
Which, fun fact, Rory, who has watched every film ever made, it seems.
Quite literally.
When I met him, he did not know Singing in the Rain. He had never watched it. So that's one for me that I feel I have over Rory because I never win anything else. I knew Singing in the Rain before him.
But isn't it kind of cool that you introduced me to that? Because I like, that's a good film.
It's a classic. If you haven't watched it, you need to go and watch it. It is a great classic.
I feel like if you want to, for some people it does interest them, like the history of cinema, watch musicals from that time and it gives you a really good understanding of where we are today, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the biggest stars of that time were in musicals.
And I think the Hollywood system back then is just really so interesting in how it worked, how you signed stars, and obviously now that's just not a thing at all, and how producers were the big ones. It wasn't directors, it was the producer of the film was the first name on the poster.
Yeah, and that died a death.
That died. That went.
Anyways.
Yeah, what do I think? Singing in the Rain. I'm going to go 89% critic score.
Okay.
Audience score 85.
Okay, critically, Certified Fresh, 100%.
Should have gone for that.
I know. Audience score, 95%.
Wow. Yeah, deserved it.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid musical.
It is. It is. I mean, that 5% who didn't say it's a great film. What are you doing? Next one, The Greatest Showman.
This is the greatest show.
Yeah. I think this one.
Don't know about this one.
Do you know what? This one, I didn't really understand the casting of everybody. It felt a little bit too haphazard, like pulling people from different genres and putting them into it.
Yeah, because it was Hugh Jackman was the lead, and then Zac Efron, and then Zendaya. That was it. Yeah.
I like nothing wrong with any of those actors, but pulled together in this one, it just felt like, you know how Ariana Grande from Wicked is the little bit left field one, but Cynthia Erivo, of course.
I mean, yeah.
You know, it makes sense. She's a, theatrical powerhouse and is an amazing singer and has always been, it made sense for her to be cast as Elphaba.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like it made sense for Zendaya, Zac Efron or Hugh Jackman to be cast in The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
But I didn't think
Hugh Jackman is good, and I think he has quite a good voice for it. I mean, obviously he did Les Mis. I think
I just don't see Hugh Jackman as musical guy.
Yeah.
I like, even though I know he's done musicals, I still don't see him as that. In my head,
You just see him as Wolverine.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't think you were going to say that.
That's exactly.
I totally understand.
Yes.
But we know that, Hugh's got a soft side. Yes. He needs to sing.
I know. Anyways, we've digressed.
Greatest Showman. I'm actually going to go 75% for critic.
Okay.
72 for audience.
Okay. Critically, 56%.
Okay, that's quite low.
People didn't like it.
I didn't think it was that bad,
no,
was it?
But it was a slow burn, remember? It didn't really go so quickly.
Yeah.
Audience score, though, 86%.
Oh, wow. Okay, so audiences liked it. That's because, though, that proves that's the success of the song, because this is the greatest show. That track was all over the radio. It was really popular.
Kids as well.
Kids, yeah. So that's a lesson where you're like, look, the film didn't do well, but the songs did.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's still marketable, you know.
Precisely. Next one, The Sound of Music.
Oh, classic.
Julie Andrews.
You know it's the most highest grossing musical of all time, adjusted with inflation.
Is it?
Absolutely, yeah. You heard it here first.
Thank you for that little nugget of information.
Do you know what? Not a problem. Okay.
Right. Come on.
I'm going to go with a critic score, 100%. And, or no, 95.
Okay.
Audience, 92.
Ooh. Critically, it got 83%.
Wow.
Audience, 91%.
Come on.
I know.
Can you not just give that to me?
No,
why can't you just lie?
No. Because if
like,
anybody there goes and researches this and then sees that I actually made up a point just to give you.
Yeah, but you will put it in the.
My credibility is just it's shot.
To be fair, we can't have that.
My street cred.
Your street cred, especially in the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Yeah.
People know you for it.
Anyways, next one is Les Misérables.
Okay. Oh, I loved how you said that. Sophie can speak French. That's why she says things. And she's part Swiss. So,
Les Mis.
Where I'd be like, Les Mis.
Les Mis.
Yeah. So I'm going to go
Miserables.
94% critic. 90% audience.
Okay. 70% critically.
It won an Oscar, didn't it?
Yeah, I know. I don't I mean, people hate musicals. People hate musicals.
That film.
And 79% audience score.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I know. Les Mis didn't do too well.
I love that film.
I know.
It's actually one of my favourite musicals, Les Mis.
I know. I also cried at that one.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, very emotional. You just love singing and crying.
What does that say about me? Oh, and the last one, of course, couldn't keep it out. Wicked.
Oh God! Now I feel like I've gone so high. Maybe I need to come back down to reality. 87% critically, 85 audience.
Okay, critically, 88%.
What did I say?
87. And audience score was 95%.
I said 95. I went 90. No, if I speak, I can't.
Interestingly, Singing in the Rain and Wicked have the same audience score.
Yeah, which is interesting from what you were touching on earlier. Like, could this be the resurgence of musicals, and Wicked is what was needed?
Well, precisely.
Well, anyway, on that note.
These are all good questions. Questions we do not have the answers to.
Absolutely not. We have to go and find those answers.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for watching. And if you've enjoyed the show, obviously, please do follow along, like, subscribe, comment on the video. It really, really does help us. And if you listen to us over on, Apple or Spotify, please do leave us a review. It massively helps out the show.
Indeed, we put these out every week, so make sure to check back here next week. Thank you for being here. We will see you again soon.
See you guys.
Bye.